welcome to Hope TV News on this Monday, the last day of May 2021. Thank you for choosing Hope TV, where you look and live. You're with me, Tess Njenga, and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. These are the day's stories. Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye is in the country for a two-day state visit ahead of tomorrow's Madaraka Day celebrations in Kisumu. Ndayishimiye and the Burundi First Lady Angeline arrived at the Kisumu International Airport, where they were welcomed by Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo and ODM party leader Raila Odinga. Dickens Luvanda brings us more.
The president of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, landed at the Kisumu International Airport at around 10:15 a.m. aboard a Kenya Airways Dreamliner aircraft, accompanied by the First Lady, Angeline Ndayishimiye. While donning a face mask in compliance with the Kenya's COVID-19 rules, the Burundian leader and his delegation was received by ODM party leader Raila Odinga, Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo, and other senior government officials before heading to the Kisumu State Lodge after a short ceremonial activities at the Kisumu International Airport amid tight security, making history as the first president to be received in Kisumu for an official state visit. President Evariste and the Burundian First Lady were received by House President Uhuru Kenyatta and First Lady Margaret Kenyatta before leading their respective delegations in bilateral talks and later addressing a joint press briefing.
Kwanza nafurahi sana kuwa hapa. Kunileta hapa na delegation yangu, cha kwanza ni kunionyesha kwamba mnataka hii visit iwe historical. Na mimi nafurahi sana na nashukuru sana na kushukuru sana. Ni mara ya kwanza nakuja hapa Kenya kama rais. Si mara ya kwanza kuja huku, lakini kama rais nimekuja ni mara ya kwanza. Nafurahi sana.
Nchi zetu mbili ni nchi ambazo zimekuwa na uhusiano wa miaka mingi. Ni nchi ndugu. Ni nchi ambazo hazijatakuwa na matatizo kubwa kati yetu. Tumeshirikiana kwa mambo mbalimbali.
With regard to peace and security on the continent, we commend the excellent field work of the African Union mission in Somalia. Kenya and the Burundi troops are together in the ground, and they are doing a great job. In this regard, we believe that any initiative aimed to reduce the AMISOM troops in Somalia must take into account the degree of the threat from the Shabab terror group in order not to lose the part of the territory already recovered by AMISOM.
The visiting head of state is the chief guest during Tuesday 58th Madaraka Day celebrations, set to be held at the newly built Jomo Kenyatta International Stadium in the Lakeside City, an event that is set to be held in strict compliance with the national COVID-19 containment protocols.
Dear friend, President Pierre Nkurunziza, who passed on, and in the same breath take this opportunity to congratulate you and the people of Burundi for conducting peaceful and democratic elections, and to congratulate you on your election and your resounding victory and the assumption of the highest office in Burundi. And I look forward to working closely with you.
Only 3,000 invited guests will be allowed in the celebrations, which are expected to be completed by 1 p.m. Dickens Luvanda, Hope TV Newswatch.
Thank you, Dickens, for that report. And Kenya and Burundi today signed several agreements aimed at strengthening cooperation between the two East African nations. The cooperation agreements on agriculture, public service, foreign affairs, trade, sports, and culture were signed in Kisumu at the start of a two-day state visit to Kenya by President of Burundi. And as Alice Diana tells us, Kenya and Burundi have a cordial relationship and are partners in many areas.
Kenya and Burundi cooperate in various areas of socio-economic and political development, anchored on the Joint Permanent Commission for Cooperation (JPCC), signed in May 2008 as the main framework of bilateral cooperation. In 2011, both countries signed a comprehensive bilateral agreement to promote development and technology transfer in agriculture, livestock, and fisheries development between them. The presidents of Burundi and Kenya have on multiple occasions made state visits to each other's country. On Monday, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta and visiting Burundi's President Evariste Ndayishimiye said the two countries have agreed to strengthen and deepen their long-standing fraternal relations with the aim of fostering sustained socio-economic development.
Today, together with His Excellency President Ndayishimiye, we witnessed the signing of several bilateral instruments which will accelerate the scale and scope of cooperation between our two countries. These include, amongst other things, Memorandum of Understanding on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. We also signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Public Service, which will provide joint capacity building and development through leadership training in public service. Foreign Affairs, which seeks to promote political consultations and development cooperation.
Uhuru said that there are enormous untapped business opportunities between Bujumbura and Nairobi and directed relevant ministries to review and address bottlenecks inhibiting growth of trade and investment between the two East African countries.
Our two ministers responsible for trade and investment were directed to review and address bottlenecks and barriers that are inhibiting the growth of trade and investment between our two countries, including the use of this lake, Victoria, as a means both of transportation.
So this visit is a good opportunity to invite Kenyan investors to increase their investments in Burundi. Our country is ready for foreign investment, and we believe that now is the right time to do so.
President Kenyatta and his Burundi counterpart said they will continue working together in advancing the African agenda on the global stage and reiterated their country's commitment to the progress of the East African Community EAC.
Nchi zetu mbili ni nchi ambazo zimekuwa na uhusiano wa miaka mingi. Ni nchi ndugu, ni nchi ambazo hazijatakuwa na matatizo kubwa kati yetu. Tumeshirikiana kwa mambo mbalimbali, mambo ya maendeleo, mambo ya trade, mambo ya usalama na mambo mengine mengi.
As part of efforts to strengthen Kenya-Burundi bilateral ties, the two leaders agreed to review the 2008 Joint Permanent Commission for Cooperation Agreement with a view of ensuring expeditious implementation of agreed-upon agreements. On his part, President Ndayishimiye expressed his gratitude to President Kenyatta and the people of Kenya for the role the country played in stabilizing Burundi through international peacekeeping efforts as well as through trade facilitation.
With regard to peace and security on the continent, we commend the excellent field work of the African Union mission in Somalia. Kenya and the Burundi troops are together in the ground and they are doing a great job.
For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Alice Diana.
Thank you, Alice, for that report. As part of the Jubilee government development projects, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his visiting Burundi president have officially opened the Kenya Shipyards Limited KSL in Kisumu County. KSL is a new government shipbuilding and repair facility with yards in Mombasa and Kisumu. President Kenyatta has commended the multi-agency team led by KDF for restoring Kisumu Port and its enabling facilities, adding that the launch of KSL PSL will create new high-value jobs and business opportunities for Kenyans. The heads of state have also commissioned the revamped MV Uhuru cargo ship.
Ni ndoto ya watu ambao walikuweko mbele yetu, lakini ndoto ambayo ilikatwa kwa sababu ya udhaifu wetu sisi kama Wakenya. Na sasa tumeanza kufufua hiyo ndoto. Ndio wananchi wa Jamhuri hii ya Kenya waweze kuwa na nafasi za kazi ambazo zinastahili, kazi ambayo mtu anaweza kujua ya kwamba anaamkia kazi ya asubuhi ambaye itampatia mapato ya kujisimamia yeye na jamii yake. Hao ni vijana 300 ambao hawakuwa na pahali ambao wanafanya kazi hapa. Kuanzia wiki ijayo, hawa ni vijana wengine 1000 ambao watakuwa hapa wakifanya kazi ya kujenga hii mashua mpya ambaye tumeianzisha leo. Amen. Tusipuuze amani, kwa sababu ni rahisi sana kwa mtu kuzoea kitu ambacho inaitwa amani.
Uasin Gishu Governor Jackson Mandago has affirmed his administration's commitment to ensure Eldoret town gets the best plan that will make it habitable. Mandago notes that the town's designing, which is in progress, should focus on making it environmental friendly. Planning for the town is already in progress as it seeks to get an elevation to city status, and the governor wants the Eldoret Municipal Board and the Department of Planning at the county to give priority to locals and expert views. According to the county boss, proper planning for Eldoret will not only attract more investors and retain the existing ones, but also help save on billions of public funds that are usually used to upgrade slums in urban centers.
The goal is to ensure that we have a good, robust plan for the city and also for the county. What we would like to request the stakeholders and the residents of this county is to work closely with the Department of Urban Planning. We shall be doing a lot of citizen engagement, public participation to ensure that this plan carries the views of the local people here in the county, as well as expertise recommendations that will come from experts in various fields. So I want to urge the municipality and the residents of this county to engage so that we have a plan that is going to regenerate and transform this town to a city, and not just a city, but a livable city where everybody will be comfortable, all matters environment will have been put in place, safety measures, and many other things.
As county government, especially the Department of Urban Planning, we are saying we shall implement the plan as proposed, and we want to urge all our stakeholders, especially the residents of Uasin Gishu, that when we have this plan, the plan will unlock a lot of potential, especially for the municipality of Eldoret.
The Anglican Church of Kenya has called on the government to work harder in the fight against corruption and be ready to lay the foundation of a strong and predictable policy and reducing domestic borrowing as these continue to undermine services delivery, including timely access to justice. Addressing the media, ACK Archbishop Jackson Olesapit said that the country needs to reform certain aspects of the constitution and institutions, adding that the court ruling regarding the BBI process must be respected. Dolly Murigi now reports.
The Anglican Church of Kenya, ACK, has called on the government and political leaders to fight corruption as it is on the gripping level in the country. With the COVID-19 pandemic ravaging the country, there is a steady rise in crimes and domestic violence, with a number of individuals struggling with all forms of hardships, including lost livelihoods and lack of sustainable income. Addressing the media at ACK, Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit commended the government efforts in containing the spread of COVID-19 infections through the Ministry of Health, encouraging the government to do everything possible to ensure that vaccination reaches acceptable percent of population and within the required period.
We call upon the Ministry of Health to work closely with respective county health authorities and strengthen proper home-based care and isolation protocols so as to enable proper monitoring of such cases. Such activities should include intentional use of pulse oximeters to monitor oxygen levels of patients at home.
The resumption of international trade and strategic investment in the country's development priority areas were given as reasons for the optimism. Given the current economic situation and the growing uncertainty in the markets, such predictions need to be treated with caution. The latest National Treasury report on public indebtedness, which was submitted to the National Assembly, contained disturbing statistics. According to the religious leaders, more than 132 billion Kenya shillings in 10 new loans were procured between 1st September 2020 and 31st March 2021.
There continues to be a glaring disproportion between revenue and expenditure, especially in the 2021-22 fiscal year. It is expected to spend a 3.02 trillion with a budgetary deficit of 930 billion. Hence, foreign and domestic borrowing of 399.1 billion and 530 billion, respectively. The public debt stands at 7.2 trillion, which it translates to 71.2% of gross domestic product, GDP. The debt to GDP ratio has surged from 39% of GDP in 2013 to 71.2% in 2021.
However, in the long run, the country's prosperity will depend on the ability to reduce the massive debts accumulated over the past decades, as borrowing should be capped and repayment prioritized with a view to reducing the burden as quickly as possible.
We must be ready to address the persisting corruption, laying the foundations of our strong and predictable fiscal policy, reduction of domestic borrowing, expanding the tax base, creating a level playing field for all businesses, and creating a business climate that is competitive globally.
The recent court ruling on BBI has met with mixed reactions from political factions, with some blaming the judiciary for being biased while others hailed the ruling. The clergy from Anglican Church wants leaders to respect the High Court ruling that annulled the BBI, saying the judiciary should be given the respect it deserves. Archbishop Ole Sapit says that other urgent legislative matters should be prioritized by the parliament, since the BBI appeal case is still in court. All stakeholders are urged to ensure preparation towards the 2022 general election is well planned for peaceful, credible, free and fair elections come August next year. Dolly Mirigi for Hope TV, Newswatch.
Thank you, Dolly. Taking a look at COVID-19 numbers today, 88 people have tested positive for the disease from a sample size of 1,668 tested in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now 5.3%. Total confirmed positive cases are now 170,735, and cumulative tests so far conducted are 1,811,558. 71 patients have recovered from the disease, 64 from the home-based and isolation care, while 7 are from various health facilities countrywide. Total recoveries now stand at 116,847. Sadly, 15 people have succumbed to the disease, with all reports relating to facility audit records conducted on diverse dates in April. This now pushes the cumulative fatalities to 3,172. A total of 1,237 patients are currently admitted in various health facilities across the country, while 4,661 patients are on home-based isolation and care. 93 patients are in the intensive care unit ICU, 21 of whom are on ventilatory support and 55 on supplemental oxygen. 17 patients are on observation. Let us now take our first commercial break on Newswatch tonight. We have much more news coming up, so keep it Hope TV.
Next on Chiriku.
Nitakuchinja. Sawa. Hebu uende uchukue pesa zingine mingi. Tunaelewana?
Relationship ya Daisy. Sio ni kama watu wawili wako sawa.
Grace ametoka kwa umasikini. Kwa kina Grace hakuna kitu. Hakuna kitu hata kidogo. Hata nashindwa brother yangu ni nini alipendia huyu mama.
Twende nikupigie story moto ukienda huko kwa stage nikusindikize.
Christine, staki story zako. Hiyo udaku yako ya kushinda ukiambia watu maneno ya watu staki.
Wando kazi yako ni kusumbuana na mademi mtaa, si ndio? Bravo ni nini? Unatukana na hizo maviluga zenu?
Catch this inspiring drama series only on Hope TV every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. and repeats on Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Don't miss out.
Join John Cousin every weekday as he takes us on a journey through the Bible.
Whoever shall seek to save his life, if you go back to living for yourself, you're going to lose it. But whoever shall lose his life, give up his life for my sake, he shall preserve it.
Enjoy interesting, knowledge-packed, yet simple teachings through his humor and in-depth understanding of God's Word.
The last people that tried to put God in a box, literally, he rose again. He wouldn't stay in their compartment. If God was small enough for me to figure out, he wouldn't be big enough for me to worship.
Tune in to Hope TV for John Cousin every 10 p.m., 4 a.m., and 10 a.m. weekdays on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back. Burundi First Lady Angeline Ndayishimiye has applauded the ingenuity behind the Beyond Zero mobile clinics, terming it an innovative way of taking healthcare services closer to the people. The Burundi First Lady expressed her liking for units during a guided tour of one of the mobile clinics at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital by her host First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, Kisumu County First Lady Dorothy Nyong'o, and her Laikipia counterpart Maria Mbeneka, who is also the current chairperson of the County First Ladies Association, who were among the dignitaries who received First Lady Margaret Kenyatta and the Burundi First Lady at the referral hospital. There was pomp and color in Meru town on Monday morning as residents flocked the streets to welcome Governor Kiraitu Murungi back to work. Kiraitu, who has been on a 2-month medical leave to recuperate after contracting COVID-19, renewed his affirmation to support the youth by empowering them both politically and economically.
And that's what I'm happy about. Our government is not a one-man show. No. Our government is a system. Sure. Yes. Those days of a powerful governor and a weak government are gone. They are gone. Now we have a powerful governor and a powerful government. We have systems which work. So even if Toshe is not there, I'm sure the ministers can run the government. Very true. That's what we want. And even when we leave, we want to leave strong systems in Meru County for governments even of the future, which are going to come. So yangu ni kumrudisheni, asante sana. But now that I'm back, let us recommit ourselves to a dream of making Meru great. Mkisoma manifesto yetu, tunasema tutainua vijana wa Meru. We are making Meru great.
Let's take a short commercial break. We'll be back.
On the next episode of Health Check, lupus disease occurs when the immune system fights its own body organs and tissues, causing inflammation that affects different body systems, including your joints, kidneys, heart, and lungs. Its signs and symptoms often mimics the symptoms of other conditions, hence making diagnosis difficult. Tune in for detailed information with lupus specialists this Tuesday, live on Health Check with me, Kerika Giri, only on Hope TV.
Welcome back. We apologize for that hiccup. Internal auditors in the vocational and technical training institutions will now be required to produce weekly financial audit reports shared to School Board of Management as the government moves in to quell possible financial malpractices in public institutions countrywide. Principal Secretary, State Department for Vocational and Technical Training, Dr. Margaret Mwakima, has directed that school principals, finance officers, procurement officers, and internal auditors should synchronize together financial reports to ensure financial accountability and transparency.
The Public Service has already issued a circular of what we are expecting from you in terms of prudence and value for money when it comes to procurement of goods, products, and services. So be very diligent and be very competent and ensure that you are able to take the fiduciary responsibility of due care. And in fact, what I would wish to direct you to do is that every week you should be meeting with the accounting officers and the principals to now give them a report and to tell them exactly what is happening on the ground. Because if internal auditors play their role as it is required to be done, will not be going into these huge sometimes scandals that we read from the papers that sometimes are relating to some impropriety and irregularities in terms of financial management.
Let's cross borders. Neighboring self-declared Republic of Somaliland today held its first parliamentary and municipal elections in over a decade. This is its 17th election since declaring independence from Somalia 30 years ago. Long queues were reported in the early hours of Monday in the capital, Hargeisa. Some of the voters have been queuing up to 2 hours prior to the opening of polling stations at 7 a.m. local time. There are over 1.2 million voters in the country. A member of a minority clan and 28 women are in the race for the first time. The territory is not recognized internationally as a country, although it operates as a nation state and is largely peaceful. Somalia, which insists Somaliland is still part of its territory, has not held a democratic poll for more than half a century. 103 international election observers arrived to witness the election proceedings from Europe and Africa, among them the former president of Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma. Official results could take a few days to be announced. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has increased the COVID-19 restrictions to try and fight a surge in recent infections. The night curfew has been extended, meaning non-essential shops, bars and restaurants will be forced to close by 10 p.m. South African time. There shall also be a limited number of people at social gatherings, which have attributed to the rise in positive cases due to negligence in observing COVID-19 protocols. President Ramaphosa said further restrictions were necessary to ensure that health facilities were not overwhelmed. South Africa has recorded more than 56,000 deaths and more than 1.5 million cases, which is the highest in Africa. Only about 1.5% of the country's 60 million people have so far received a vaccine. And further afield, delegations from Israel and Egypt have met in Cairo and Jerusalem on Monday to discuss establishing a permanent ceasefire between the Jewish state and Gaza's Hamas rulers. Egypt played a pivotal role in negotiating a ceasefire earlier this month between Israel and Gaza's Palestinian Islamist rulers, Hamas bringing to an end 11 days of deadly fighting. Meanwhile, political opponents of Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are joining forces to oust him. A former Netanyahu aide, Naftali Bennett, says he's looking to form a diverse minority government and avoid another round of elections in Israel and put an end to the Netanyahu era. He responded by painting the broad coalition as a threat to national security. Let's take another short commercial break. Business and sports news is coming up.
On the next episode of Health Check, lupus disease occurs when the immune system fights its own body organs and tissues, causing inflammation that affects different body systems, including your joints, kidneys, heart, and lungs. Its signs and symptoms often mimics the symptoms of other conditions, hence making diagnosis difficult. Tune in for detailed information with lupus specialists this Tuesday, live on Health Check with me, Kerika Giri, only on Hope TV.
Let's continue with business now. Kenya Coast hoteliers have welcomed the opening of Port of Lamu aimed at boosting logistics, travel and tourism industry in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Hospitality players contend that the state at Port of Lamu will catapult Kenya Coast tourism business, giving it a much-needed lift to the sector's fortunes. Industry players are of the opinion that the modern facility will position Kenya as a passenger destination through the sea tourism and boost the sector. Port of Lamu is expected to give tourism a huge boost as more cruise ships dock at the port. Pride Inn Hotels Managing Director Hasnain Nurani says there is need to create awareness on cruise ship tourism so that Kenyans can tap into that business. Last year, the Port of Mombasa was voted Africa's leading cruise facility for the second year running by the World Travel Awards.
The Port of Lamu is set to position the coastal cities as passenger destinations through sea tourism. We anticipate to see increased trade, integration and connectivity within this region. Docking of the cruise ships will definitely stimulate growth of the regional tourism sector, boosting trade and local livelihoods along the coast and beyond. This is also going to aid the hospitality industry recovery process post-COVID-19 pandemic and definitely create more jobs in the region. We say thank you very much, Your Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta and Honorable Najib Balala and your entire administration. This is very optimistic for the Kenya coast, and we believe it's going to restore a lot of faith within the tourism products that we offer, not just within the Kenya coast, but within Kenya as a whole.
The Equity Bank Group has this planting season planted 1.8 million trees across the country in partnership with county governments and institutions. Equity Group Chief Commercial Officer Polycarp Igathe said the nationwide cause is meant to conserve the environment. Speaking in Mombasa County, Igathe said the tree planting campaign is part of the bank's ambitious plan to reduce the impact of climate change across the country. Igathe, together with Mombasa Deputy Governor Dr. William Kingi, led a team of community volunteers in planting 2,000 indigenous tree seedlings in Kisauni sub-county of Mombasa.
Planted 1.8 million trees, and we are doing this countrywide, and we are only partnering mostly with educational institutions, universities and secondary schools and primary schools, so that these young people can understand the importance of trees. Kenya is the home of Wangari Maathai, that great Nobel Peace Laureate, Mama ambaye who taught us the importance of trees through her work. And we come to celebrate the fact that trees absorb our waste and then they give us the oxygen we need to breathe. And that oxygen, with trees, you are able to regenerate the community and regenerate our land. So it's fantastic to be here and to be accompanied by the county government of Mombasa, who are not only just a county government, we consider them a great partner of Equity Bank.
Sasa tumefikisha katika jamhuri yetu ya Kenya, ile target ya United Nations ni miti, asilimia coverage ya miti kwa Kenya asilimia 10. Sasa tuko katika asilimia 7.4. Sasa nafikiri tukiweza kushikana kwa ukaribu na Equity Bank, tunaweza kufika ile target ambayo tumepatiwa na United Nations ya asilimia 10 coverage katika hii nchi yetu.
And in sports, AFC Leopards blew the chance to go top of the FKF Premier League standings after suffering a shock 3-1 loss at the hands of Bidco United at the Ruaraka grounds. Elsewhere, Thomas Tuchel is close to signing a new contract after leading Chelsea to European glory with a classy victory over Manchester City in the Champions League final. To some rather sad news, Kenyan hockey legend Patna Sain, also known as Kaki, has passed away aged 63. Kaki was also part of the Kenyan team that won the hockey gold medal at the 1987 All-African Games in Nairobi, Kenya. Joseph Maingi is here with the day's sports update.
ni Bidco United, pamba zao ni njano.
13-time Kenya Premier League champions AFC Leopard squandered their chance to storm the summit of the 2020-2021 FKF Premier League after failing 3-1 to newcomers Bidco United at the Ruaraka grounds in Nairobi. David Oremo scored a brace as Alex Juma netted a Bidco other goal that ensured that the newcomers avenged their 2-0 loss to Leopards in the first leg encounter. Substitute Benavius Shaka scored Leopards a consolation goal 9 minutes to time. Leopards dropped third on 36 points as 11-time winners Tusker leapfrogged KCB into the top position with 38 points following their 3-0 victory over Vihiga United at the Mumias Complex. Following the win, Bidco leapfrogged Sofapaka into the 11th position with 22 points. And Chelsea head coach Thomas Tuchel has met club owner Roman Abramovich for the first time and is confident that he will be offered a new deal after winning the UEFA Champions League in his first 6 months at the club. Chelsea turned a season of turmoil into an ultimate triumph as Kai Havertz High School finish sank Manchester City 1-0 to ensure Champions League glory in Porto. In just 124 days, Tuchel had transformed Frank Lampard's mud-led men into mint tactical machine and champions of Europe. The 47-year-old arrived from Paris Saint-Germain in January with fearless reputation but has reinvented himself as a taskmaster with a joyful spirit and a tendency to tease the best for his players. Elsewhere, legendary former Kenya Hockey International and Olympian Parmida Kakek-Sain is dead. Confirming the news, Kenya Hockey Union Chairman Nahashon Radiek said the 66-year-old took his last bow at the Kisumu Hospital after a short illness last night at 10 p.m. Kake, who represented Kenya at the 1984 Los Angeles and 1998 Seoul Korea Olympics Games, fell ill on Saturday and his condition worsened yesterday. Kake, who was a Kenyan Hockey Union technical advisor, is survived by a widow and 2 children. The hockey great captained Kenya at the East African Championship in Tanga, Tanzania in 1983, as well as Test Series against India. That's your sports. I'm Joseph Maingi.
Thank you, Joseph. And that's all we had for you on Newswatch tonight. Thank you for your valuable company and watching. I'm Tess Njenga, and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Have a good night, and God bless you.